into saving Lady Wu too, man, 'cause Wu, Wu was, definitely a pain in my side, you know, man. I got love for Wu, that's like my sister or whatever, but, yeah, Wu was a pain in my side, so anyway, it's one particular weekend, right? I'm chilling, I'm up in the cabin, right? I rented out this cabin, and I'm with my girl, Sweet Cash. It was Sweet Cash, and like, two of her homegirls, and just me, I'm the only dude there, right? So I'm having fun, you know what I mean? We skinny dipping, running around, you know, the cabin naked, you know, doing us, having fun, doing anything, you know what I mean? We was making movies, we was doing all kinds of shit, my nigga. I'm running around nothing on with Timberlands and motherfucking Jerry, nigga. That's all I had on was Timberlands and motherfucking Jerry. With a camera in my hand, videotaping Sweet Cash and her friends, and, you know, they naked twerking, jumping in and out of the pool, you know, we having crazy sex, you know, all kinds of shit. But at the same time, my phone kept ringing as Wu, and I kept sending Wu the voicemail. But she just kept ringing my phone, till I said, fuck it, let me answer it. So I answered the phone call. Wu was panicking. She was like, yo, me and Larry got into it. I think, you know, I might have took it too far, you know. I might have, I think I'm going to this jail. I'm going to jail. I'm calming Wu down. I'm like, Wu, calm down. What happened? She was like, yeah, that her and Larry got into it. She showed me the bite marks. Showed me that, you know, he pulled out her hair. And she was like that, you know, she had to defend herself. So she said she went upside his head like a frying pan and, you know, was hitting him with the brass knuckles, and now he's laying on the floor bleeding. I'm like, what? I'm like, where he at? I mean, so she showed me on the camera. This nigga laid out on the ground. That footage that leaked out. This nigga laid out on the ground in a fetal position. My nigga in the fetal position. Head busted, bleeding, knocked out. So I'm like, well, shit, is he breathing? She said, I don't know. So she panicked, and I'm like, yo. I was like, just stay calm. I'm on my way. So I get off the phone with Wu. I tell Sweet Cash, oh, I gotta make a run real quick. You know, she kind of looks disappointed, but I'm like, yo, I'll be back. You know what I'm saying? Because I was having a lot of fun with Sweet Cash and her friends, so I left them at the cabin. I hop in the motherfucking car. Range Rover. I head over to Lady Wu's, you know what I mean? So I get over to Lady Wu's about a half hour later, you know what I mean? Hop out, you know, knock on the door. I go in the crib. She like, yeah, you know, she was like, I think I killed him. I think he dead. I'm like, what? So I go over to where Larry's laying at. Larry just laying there. This nigga ain't moving. It don't look like he breathing. Head busted open, bleeding. I'm like, damn, Boo. I'm like, what the fuck? She was like, yeah, I had to get that nigga off me. He jumped on me, did it? So I see her dreads on the ground. I see you rip the head. I see the bite marks. I'm like, damn. I'm like, so I was like, yo, so we gotta move this nigga. I was like, we gotta get rid of this body. I was like, 'cause if not, you gonna be going up the motherfucking river. You gonna be locked down for life. I was like, we gotta get rid of this body. Knock on the door. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, who that? You know what I mean? That's when I said to Boo. She like, I don't know. So, you know, we quiet, creep, we look, we like, oh shit, that's his sister. So I hear behind the door, Woo open the door. The sister asked her all kinds of questions. It was like, yo, I heard a lot of noises, everything alright? She was like, yeah. She was like, where's my brother, where's Larry? She was like, he's asleep. You know what I mean? So I'm behind the door, I'm hiding behind the door while Woo was talking to the sister. Telling her everything, Larry's asleep, you know what I mean? We was arguing earlier, but it's over with. So the sister said, just making sure. The sister leaves, Woo close the door, boom. So now, we trying to figure out how we gonna get rid of the body, you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck. So I said, the only thing we can do is try to sneak this motherfucker up out of here without nobody seeing us. I was like, we gotta wait till it gets a little later. So, waited. I text Sweet Cass and told her, it's gonna be a little minute till I get back. You know what I mean? So we waiting till the sun go down a little bit, 'cause it was like around 7 going into 8. So the sun was going down, so we waited till like 9:30, 10. wrapped this nigga up. Some sheets and blankets. Made sure nobody was outside. I told Woo, we gonna use your car. We can't use my car. We gonna use your car. So she pulled her car up in the front. We quick put that nigga in the trunk. You know what I mean? Boom. We get in the car. So now we trying to figure out where we gonna dump this nigga. We riding around. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out where to dump this nigga at the same time. I'm yelling at Woo like, what the fuck, man? Like, how the fuck you make a mistake like this? Why the fuck? Anytime you get into some shit, you gotta drag me into it. And then, you know, Woo, she's yelling and screaming. We arguing. You know what I mean? Woo must didn't keep her eyes on the road. She kind of swerved a little bit. So I'm like, yo, man, be careful. Next thing you know, woo, cops pull. I'm like, fuck. The cops pull up behind my shit. So, you know, good thing we had our seatbelts on. So woo, pull over. Cop was like, hey, you know what I mean? He was like, I noticed, you know, you swerving and you had anything to drink. We like, no, officer, no, officer. So he was like, can you step out the car for a minute? Like, oh, shit. So we step out the car. So he asking Woo questions. He checking Woo eyesight, you know, doing the little sobriety test, you know, if she wasn't drunk. If she was, trust me, she sobered up by the time she buzzed Larry in the head. Nah, I mean, my nigga. So he doing the little drunk test thing. And she passed it, and he was like, alright. So he came over to me, he asking me questions. He was like, mind if I pass you down? I'm like, sure, you know, I ain't had nothing on me. He pat me down, no weapons. Alright, he couldn't pat Woo down, cause, you know, we need a female officer with that. He was like, you know, so he took his flashlight, he looking around in the car. He was like, so there's no drugs in the car? We was like, nah. He was like, you mind if you pop open the trunk? And I'm like, oh, shit. So, Woo gets the keys to open the trunk. I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, shit, my heart's racing. So, Woo, you know, she gets the keys. As soon as she, words to my mother, as soon as she put the key into the trunk, as soon as she put the key in the lock to open the trunk, the officer gets the call, shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. He was like, oh shit. He was like, you know what? He was like, just slow down. He was like, I gotta take that call. He was like, y'all just slow down. He hops in the car, takes off. Whew, me and Woo just took a deep breath. So we hop back in the car, so now we looking for a place to dump Larry, right? So we found the place, and boom, we pull over, open the trunk. So I grab his upper, torso, his arms and shit. Woo grabs his legs. So we take this motherfucker, we pull him out. As soon as we pull him out, this nigga Larry made a noise. We like, what the fuck? So that's when we both jumped, and then the nigga drops to the ground. We like, oh shit. So then we pulled all the shit off of him. This nigga Larry gasping for air because he was wrapped up in the trunk. He gasping for air. So I'm like, Larry. He answered me. I'm like, yo, this motherfucker's still alive, Woo. So I'm like, yo, we gotta get this nigga to the hospital, man. So I told Woo, yo, park like a block away from the hospital. I'd take Larry in. So that way you won't be seen on camera. So she parked. So she pull up to like the hospital, but she's like a block and a half away. So I get Larry out the car, and me and Larry walked slow to the hospital, and I checked him in, and he was like, oh, what happened? I said, I don't know, I just seen this guy. I think somebody tried to rob him. They must have hit him in his head or something. And you know what I mean, I just wanted to help him out, good Samaritan. So, as they took him in, I walks out the hospital. They'd ask me questions. I'm like, yo, I don't know him. I just seen that he was bleeding. So I just brought him here. I was like, but I was like, I'm good. So I just walked out and left. You know what I mean? As I got out the camera view of the hospital, once I got like a little way from the hospital, that's when I started jogging to the car. And I told Woo, take me back to her place so I could get my car and get the fuck up out of here. So she took me back. And then that's when I went. And I told Woo, I said, yo, you don't know shit. You know what I mean? Act like this night ain't happened. You know what I mean? I was like, just, keep your mouth shut. Stay the fuck off the internet, which she did say off the internet. But for some reason, Woo always feels she got a poo. So Woo gets online and started, yapping. And that's how the footage and all that shit got out. But luckily, this nigga Larry ain't died, you know what I mean? But After that, man, I hopped back to my motherfucking car and I went back to the cabin and I chilled for the rest of the weekend with motherfucking Sweet Cash and her friends with. Yeah, man, that was a crazy motherfucker. That was a crazy motherfucking time with Woo once again. You know what I mean? Saving Lady Woo, that shit was crazy, but yeah, I got plenty of stories with Woo, but we gonna leave that one at that, you know what I mean?